following it, and just like, yeah, I was getting way burnt out. Alex, you here? No problem.
No, good morning. No, because my, Google Meet always pops up different windows, video, audio, and I'm like, okay, that
We
takes.
barely hear you.
I
Might
will
be the
reboot. I'll reboot my laptop and I'll be right back.
okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Just noticed Alex's post on LinkedIn.
Oh, what
With,
was it? I didn't see it.
yes, yesterday was or no, that was 5 days ago. Was his first day back at the office after 6 weeks of FMLA due to his new baby.
Oh, wow. Okay.
One thing that is impressive is how many people in this school CISSP have passed their exam.
Yeah, not bad.
But that's kind of why I put the question up there. It's like, well, how long have most of you been studying? How long have you been in your field?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I'm over analyzing the test because I took the CC last year and I only studied for like that for like 5 hours ahead of time because I
And
just
you did
wanted to
it first?
see. Pardon me?
You did it first, the CCSP?
No, I did the CC last year
Oh, okay.
because it was free. And I figured,
Okay.
you know what? It's been a few years. Let's just see where I'm at that I know I'm good at. And like I said, I only studied like maybe 5 hours total. And then the following week, I took the Microsoft SC 900,
I
which
think
was
CC is free. It's free. It's still free, right?
Oh, I don't know. Was it?
So what happened? They made a promise, 1 million of certifications, right, for free.
Oh, okay.
And so I think until they run out of the number, the exam is free. But they're very smart at marketing. The membership is still not free. It's $125 per year, right?
no, it's only 50 for the CC.
Mm, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's still part of the little gotcha catcha. It's like you don't get to display the symbol unless you pay your membership fee.
Yeah. Racketing machine, right? Racketeering. Well, I'm joking. I'm joking, of course. No, but actually, right now, working with local colleges here in Lima, Peru. We want to do uh, CC classes. I'll be doing the delivery. So, uh, I- you know, in Latin America, in private schools, they teach half subjects in English and half in Spanish, and so their English is actually excellent. So, um, guys, if you would help me, please
Mm-hmm.
remind me which slide we left off. It's slide. I know domain 6, but which slide was it? Do you remember?
That was last week.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember
Yeah.
yesterday.
Oh my gosh. So you make me feel better, actually. So if you don't remember, I'm allowed not to remember too. Well, I'm not allowed, I guess. Usually, I have a piece of paper here and I make note. Each time, for some reason, I didn't make note. I made a note about the practice question because we did most of the practice questions. I know we left off at 120. Okay, I kind of remember. It was, I think it was slide 28 or 30. We talked about security reporting. So you remember
So
the main 6 is about security stuff. Yeah.
what's the
Go ahead.
requirements to be able to be a CISSP instructor and get the materials like you do?
Um, I don't know because I don't remember, to be honest. There was a process of signing some papers and stuff, right? But because it was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, so to be honest, I don't remember what exactly it entailed. But with ISC Square, it's easier. Now, I have accreditation to teach ISACA classes, and that's more involved. That requires, so there's a organization based in United Kingdom. It's called APMG, and you have to go through the accreditation process. They accredit you, they test you, they do interviews and stuff like that. Yeah. But with IC Square, I think once you pass the exam, you can apply, and as long as I don't know, I don't remember. They might have changed the process because I did the process like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So 6 years ago, right? Yeah.
Because I know like Microsoft used to have like the MCT that you had before you could be a trainer.
I only have 2 certifications from IC Square. I only have CISSP and CSSLP. That's it. So I don't think the number of certifications matters, but I think, anyways, I don't want to make up stuff, right? Because honestly, I don't remember, but it's, yeah, there's a process, obviously. So I think we are at slide. Will, good morning. How are you? So I remember we mentioned coal fires, so we passed that slide. And I don't think we went much beyond that. So I think we're on slide 30. So, and by the way, in case you're curious what happened yesterday, I try to connect, internet is not working. I'm trying to switch to my mobile network using my cell phone. It's not working either. And so I figured the whole area was like blacked out. So, and I use the same. It's as a company called Movie Star. Yeah, it's Movie Star. Well, it's not spelled as movie, but it's Movie Star. And my both cell phone provider and internet provider, fiber optic, is Movie Star. And so I guess their entire network, their local circuit was down. So, and so there was no way for me to notify Vincent or anybody because mobile network was down too. So my
Maybe they
apologies.
use CrowdStrike.
Say it again.
Maybe they use CrowdStrike.
That's a good joke. It's funny, but third world countries are affected less. You know why? Because it's expensive product, right?
That's very true.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I wanted to share with you a link, and yeah, it's optional. Obviously, you don't need to read it for the exam, but this article expresses very unpopular opinion, and that's very unpopular opinion is that NSA tools were stolen. Well, not stolen. Well, stolen, not stolen. You remember Harold T. Martins? I was talking about him a couple weeks ago. He, I guess, borrowed. he copied a lot of tools, the exploits, the hacking tools from NSA, and he brought them home and installed them in his basement on some systems. Unfortunately, he used Kaspersky antivirus, and that's how Russians got wind of it. Anyways, let me see. I think we have the code review. Let me share with you the screen, and we'll resume, even though some people are not here, but I mean, what can we do, right? We can't wait forever. So let me see. All right, synthetic. I think synthetic we did cover synthetic. Yeah, maybe not. So let me share with you the screen, and then you tell me if you covered it or not. Because, to be honest, I don't remember. All right.
We were about to begin domain 6.
No, we did cover a lot of domain 6. You remember? We talked about coal, fire, and other stuff.
No, I don't think so. I don't think
I
so.
don't
We didn't
think
do,
so.
yeah, we didn't do domain 6. We stopped there. We got into some test questions and we left it at that.
Okay, so I thought we are at the slide 29, but if you want, we can go back to the beginning of domain 6.
Yeah, we were about to start domain 6.
So we did not cover?
No.
Was it another group? I'm pretty sure we. Okay, I guess it was another group. Yeah, sorry. Anyways, so domain 6 is about testing, right? Um, I'm skipping this slide about Prakash might be able to blah blah blah. They kind of introduced this. I guess they're not fictional; they're real characters, but and maybe for some people it does help to understand. But yeah, it's there's not much of substance. So the security audits assessments evaluate organizational risk, and typically, so if you look at formal, and there's a bullet point number 1, I would say that's the most important bullet point. Evaluation or assessment or audits are usually done against a specific compliance standard. And actually, most of the time, well, in case of auditors, so, okay, formal, it's performed by external, unbiased parties, right? Informal can be done by in-house personnel. And usually what happens, informal is done before, right? And in-house personnel do it first. They kind of prepare themselves. And then the formal done by outside party, because usually outside parties, they charge a lot of money. And with informal, with internal personnel, that's some cost already. So you have already people working for you. So, but the point is, the second bullet point, typically you do it against the compliance standard. So imagine your company is subject to PCI compliance. So you would never do your internal evaluation against ISO 27000. That would be crazy, right? Why would you do that? So you would do it against PCI. So, or if you're subject to HIPAA, why would you do assessment against TOX? You would do assessment against HIPAA requirements, obviously. So that's what you need to remember for the exam purposes. All right. So elements of audit findings. And to be honest, I don't really like this slide because that's, and again, my experience mostly is from the federal government. In the federal government, we don't consider condition, criteria, cause, effect. Everything is considered in terms of likelihood of occurrence and magnitude of impact, right? But here, yeah, if you can remember it for the exam, it's probably helpful, right? So element of audit findings implies that will be part of the risk assessment report. And risk assessment report is typically a very specific document, the Microsoft Word document or Excel spreadsheet that contains findings, right? So the key element is findings. Yeah. Assessment is evaluation of controls, right? To meet management expectations. And that's a also important consideration because that means that controls, and I don't know if you remember, and I emphasized that when you, in domain 2, we discussed it a lot. So when you do risk assessment, when you talk with your board of directors or you talk with your senior leadership, you ask them how much risk do we want? Because it's a risk versus profit, right? And then some organizations like utility companies, like water utility or nuclear power plant, obviously the risk appetite will be like minuscule or zero, right? And then you would need to implement all controls to the maximum possible extent, right? And in some organizations you would not. So, and I'll give you one example. I did assessment for a company called HR Navigator. And I'm like talking to them, I'm doing an interview, and they tell me, oh, we use this free web vulnerability scanner. And I'm like, really? You're not using app scan, you're not using web inspect? And they're like, no, those tools like $50,000 per year. We don't want to spend $50,000 per year. We're doing it free. And so this example illustrates. So the controls, the extent to which controls are implemented is variable, right? And it needs to meet the management expectations. And during the assessment, um, auditors sometimes come and they say, "Oh, this is horrible. It's horrible." It's not horrible. If the system security plan or some kind of other document says, "Look, we want to use free tool," then nothing is horrible there. It's all good as long as it's aligned with the risk appetite, right? So, any questions? We move on. I mean, this is the basic stuff. I'm pretty sure you know all of this.
Yeah, I think I went informal is internal audit and formal is external audit.
According to these slides, yes. According to AC square, even though uh, it informal could be also by external party, because so I'll give you one example. Imagine you work for a company who is subject to FedRAMP or CMMC compliance, right? So before you pay all the money for the formal official CMMC certification assessment, you may want to call KPMG or some other company, Ernst & Young or somebody big one, and say, look, come and do the formal assessment before we do the formal, because we don't want to risk losing the accreditation. We don't want the chances of that, right? You understand? Or the same with FedRAMP. If there's a like you have high visibility on the market, and imagine you failed the assessment, formal assessment, that will be bad for the stock, and stock may go down, right? Stock prices. And so, of course, companies sometimes they want to do informal. It's not necessarily external, but for the exam purposes, yeah, that's how they want you to think. Informal informal is done by internal personnel, and formal is done by the official authorities or bodies. So, but in the real world, it's not always the case.
Yes,
No.
I agree. I agree with you.
Yeah. All right. Testing perspective. So yeah, of course. I mean, it's kind of obvious. So internal simulated trusted insider, external, and it's still very much true. They say the blurring lines. Well, kind of, not really, because this blurring line, that bullet point, what it implies that somebody else's laptop is compromised, and so their VPN access to your internal network is compromised. That's what the implication there. And it can be true in some cases, but I think there's still very much strong distinction between internal and external, because firewalls, they're still working pretty well, and the technology is very mature now. So we already discussed standards and frameworks. So you want to be tested against something that's applicable. You don't want to. I mean, no company will ever waste money on being tested against something that's not even applicable to them. So yeah, but obviously, if something is applicable, then companies, they want to create at least the appearance of being compliant, right? And I'm saying at least the appearance because in some cases I've seen it. Companies, they create appearance of being compliant, and then they do this stuff like really non-compliant, like flagrant violations of laws and stuff. And I'm not going to mention any companies, but yeah, it happens. Well, I mean, just reminded me that what's his name, Sullivan, was the chief information security officer of Uber, right? You remember what happened? Yeah. So these frameworks are very popular, and again, for the federal government, none of this is actually mandatory. Federal government is actually not using this. Federal government, well, RMF is not. 800-53 is not really part of RMF. But okay, some people might say yes, but CSF was developed specifically for the private companies. SP 100, 171 right now and 172 is the basis for CMMC compliance. So the DoD compliance. So, but yeah, in federal government, 800-53 is the catalog of controls. It's not really framework. So 800-18 and 800-36, those are more like frameworks, guiding documents. All right. Let me open this, because that I don't really know. I need to open. So it's while I'm opening, I'll tell you what I remember. I was created in the 90s when there were a lot of problems with Enron and other companies. And let me see. All right. It's not here. Give me a second. I don't want to make up stuff. So I'll just. And I want to give you the official stuff. So, and I admit it. So some stuff I know very well, some stuff I don't know well. So this stuff I do not know well. So, okay, the SOC framework established by SSEA 18 defines the following reports. So, SOC 1 attests the condition of the organization's internal controls over financial reporting, ICFR. So there are two types of reports, okay? SOC 1, type 1, so SOC 1, type 1, audits the performance of a set of controls of a particular point in time. So it's a particular point snapshot, right? Now, SOC 1, type 2 reports over a period of time, okay? So we're still talking about SOC 1, we're not yet on SOC 2, right? So SOC 1, again, it's a financial reporting, and SOC 1 type 1 is snapshot, SOC 1 type 2 is over a period of time, right? Okay. And to be honest, I've never seen SOC reports in my life, so that's why I'm just reading for you, because I don't want to make up stuff. So SOC 2 reports are also known as the Trust Services Criteria, TSC reports. And so they cover security, availability, confidentiality, processing integrity, and privacy. Okay. And SOC 2 has two types. SOC 2 type 1 verifies the design of controls at the time of the report's assessment. So it's also a snapshot. And SOC 2 type 2 goes further, assessing whether the controls are working effectively, and also they cover a certain period of time. So it's kind of easy to remember, right? SOC 1 type 1 and SOC 2 type 1, it's a snapshot. SOC 1 type 2 is over a period of time, but only financial stuff. And SOC 2 covers the security, availability, confidentiality, processing integrity, and privacy. And let me type this in the chat box for you, the case. Oh gosh, let me. So it's called, what you need to remember, SOC 2 is equal to Trust Services Criteria. Yeah. Gosh. Yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah. My keyboard. Stop. Okay. All right. Let's go back. And I know it maybe not showing. Let's do it again. Because yeah, it's weird, right? Sometimes this application. So, and SOC 3 reports provide a summary of the findings and attestations of the SOC 2 report. So SOC 3 is a summary, right? Kind of executive management summary, I guess. So SOC for cybersecurity reports focus specifically on the cybersecurity plans, programs, processes, procedures, services, functions, and so on. Like, yeah.
So what does SOC for cybersecurity entail? I've never heard that one.
Okay.
Does it have it on the description? Like on the notes?
Okay. I will give you verbatim what I have.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
So it says SOC for cybersecurity reports focus specifically on the cybersecurity plans, programs, processes, procedures, services, or functions the organization uses to meet its cybersecurity requirements. It uses the 2017 TSC for security, availability, process integrity, confidentiality, and privacy as its basis. So TSC is, you remember, it's Trust Services Criteria. So yes, SOC for cybersecurity is SOC 2 type 2, right? That's what I assume. Yeah, I could. If you give me, if you want, if you would like to, I'll give you a screenshot of, there's a table, like a summary, and it's official from IC Square, but I will have to stop sharing for a moment. Well, actually, I don't know how to do screenshots here. I don't know how to share images. It doesn't allow me. But yeah, give me a second. I'll show you because, yeah, because no, this SOC stuff, to be honest, it reminded me of French comedy. It's called Double Zero. I'm like 00 on this one. SOC. Okay. Give me just 10 seconds and I'll show it to you. I don't know how to share images with this application with Google Meet, but I'll just share with you the screen so you can see it for yourself. Right. Go back. Share. Let's share. Yeah. So here's what I have here. Okay. And I'll scroll slowly. And on the next page, there's a table, like a summary. Okay. And I'm scrolling. Okay. And I'm not supposed to show you this, I think, but anyways. So here's the table that summarizes everything. So I guess you may want to take a screenshot or something. But I wouldn't, personally, I wouldn't focus too much on that because there'll be maybe one question on the entire exam, and it's like, but then again, yeah, there's one question on every subject because we're covering like 1,000 subjects, literally. So, okay, we done?
Yes, thank you.
All right. I'll give you another 20 seconds. All right, we're going back to the slides. Let me know if you don't see it because I know sometimes there's some hiccups with this. Sometimes it doesn't show. I don't know why. But, so trust services criteria, you remember? So SOC 2, type 2.
It's a blank screen right now.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I was
There it
afraid.
goes. I can see it now.
That's what I was afraid of, yeah, because it does it for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why. It does it. Yeah. Anyways. Now we should see it, right?
Yes.
So that's the summary of the SOC 2 report. So I showed you actually my material for this stuff. I'm pretty sure we covered it last week, but then again, I don't want to. No, because I remember now talking about SAS 70. So when the whole point here, when you see that not one size fits all, the reference here is that in the past, a lot of clients wouldn't know much the difference because security people were not involved, procurement people were involved in the process of negotiation with cloud service providers, and they would ask SAS 70 report, which doesn't really cover security. And then there's the moving to SOC 2 trend when finally procurement people said, look, you security folks come here and give us your opinion. What do you need really from the cloud service provider, right? And so the security folks says, well, SAS 70 is great, but it doesn't address the security concerns. So let's ask for SOC 2 report, not SAS 70. So that's the whole slide, the point of this slide. And if you will have questions on the exam on the subject, I'm pretty sure it will be just one question. But if you see the exam question, it will be in terms of like, yeah, SAS 70 doesn't address security. In the past, companies required SAS 70. Now they want SOC 2 report, because SOC 2 report, you remember, covers all of this. That's the SOC 2 report. That's the whole point of that slide. And these slides in general are pretty good. They kind of to the point. They focus on what really matters for the exam passing, right? So there are all those industry region specific standards. I can't imagine them being on the exam because, like, I don't know what IEC 62443 is, and I don't think I will ever need to know in my life. Well, star is kind of obvious. It's the Cloud Alliance, right? Registry. So, all right. Well, critical infrastructure protection, CIP, is important if you work in the United States for any utility, of course. Yeah, because they have to comply with those. Yeah. But then a lot of utilities, like any nuclear plant, they would have to comply with the NERC and the nuclear, the regulatory commission. Yeah, they have their own framework. So they're very stringent. So obviously, yeah, we don't want nuclear plants to go exploding around. So here's some, well, at least this is an abstract summary, obviously. So, I mean, it's common sense, right? Establish control, understand the risk. And I mentioned a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, if you live in Northern Virginia, every like 4 times a year, there's a forum. It's like one day, like 8 hours meeting. People come, and from mostly federal government and from some private companies, they come together at the MITRE. MITRE is a company. It's a private company. They come to MITRE facility in McLean, Virginia, for one day, and there's a lot of interesting discussions. They develop a lot of documents. They develop guidelines, and they share real stories. Sometimes you hear stories like, "Wow, really? Really happened?" But they do not allow virtual access, only in person, and no recordings allowed. So, yeah. But yeah, it's there. I mean, yeah, I can't imagine you traveling there just for maybe some of you would. I don't know. I will share a link just in case. There's a link and there's a mailing list. You can get on the mailing list, just the announcement. But, okay, I need to remember it later. I don't have a pen nearby. Anyways, that's a tricky question, no? Assessment and audit. Choose the best answer. Don't overthink it. So D would not be good answer, right? Because somebody was about to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, better.
So what it says here, both assessments and audits can target various assets depending on the scope of the evaluation. So I don't know. They say beta is not correct. And we know delta is not correct because it's always kind of right. So the best answer is alpha. And let me read the official feedback. An assessment and an audit are similar, but the primary difference lies in the level of formality. So for the exam purposes, remember it, because I know in real world, at your company, the definitions, can be very different. I mean, any company can come up with the definition of audit or assessment, whatever they want, right? So an assessment is a broader evaluation measuring the likelihood of risks and the quality of security processes in a less formal manner. So for the exam purposes, in the context of domain 6, assessment is less formal, audit is very formal. And I kind of see where they're going with this, because audit means you hire auditors. Yeah, that's kind of the implication. And with assessments, not necessarily anybody involved from outside, but yeah, auditors. Yeah, that's where they're going with it. All right. So obviously, depending on in the federal government in the United States, typically you assess controls either by you interview personnel, or you review documentation, or you perform technical testing, right? Because typically those would cover. And of course, right now there's more privacy controls, project management controls are introduced, but those are all covered by interviews and reviews of the documentation, right? Either you have project management plan or you don't. Yeah. Either you have change management process in place or you don't. And if you do, show me the evidence. Show me submitted tickets, show me adjudications, show me the meeting notes, so on, right? So unless you have specific questions on this, we'll just move on. Even though I could say I'm an expert in assessment. I've done so many assessments on both sides, on the side of being assessed and the side of being an assessor. Examinations or reviews, yeah, they system specs, architecture, design documents, technical manuals, business processes. So log reviews, which is a kind of tricky question, right? In private companies, and the reason is because it's very expensive. It's very expensive to collect logs. It's very expensive to maintain them. It's very expensive to run the queries. Tools like Splunk, QRadar, they charge arm and a leg. But yeah, so if company is subject to regulation, they will keep the logs. Yeah, and I mentioned, I think last week, company that's subject to CMMC compliance, they have to maintain logs, like complete network logs, application logs, for at least 30 days of all the previous stuff, like for the last 30 days. Because if there's a breach, these logs must be provided to the Department of Defense for investigations. So, and it's very expensive. It's not cheap. So yeah, if companies able to prioritize log management, they will do it because it saves a lot of money, a lot of money. Like log rotation, how long do we keep these logs? How quickly can we delete them, get rid of them? Do we have to collect these logs? Yeah, that's those are not trivial. Yeah, those are practical decisions that companies do. And obviously, imagine if logs were modified, then yeah, they have no use, right? So log integrity. Anybody? Maybe I'm assuming too much. Does everybody understand what log is? The word log? Like, do we need to go back and discuss it a little bit? Maybe I'm assuming too much. Okay, so I guess everybody knows what logs are. But yeah, logs must be protected from breaches of confidentiality and integrity. And if you've been around like me, so 20, 30 years ago, logs were stored on the same server, and if server was compromised, the logs would also could be modified by the malicious actors, or could be deleted. And then, of course, there was introduction of dedicated log servers, and logs were stored on dedicated servers. So each of your server, like a web server, DNS server, would broadcast the logs to this dedicated server. They would be stored, and no encryption was used. It was all in clear text. So anybody, not anybody, but yeah, technically, hypothetically, they could be modified, right? And now, of course, logs are being encrypted. We have dedicated log, what they call them, CM, right? Everybody knows what CM, Security Information Event Management Systems. Yeah. So, and I know we talked about logs a lot, but the context for this slide is the security assessments, right? So interviews are used a lot. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but okay, if you look at the system security plan and it says that remedy is used for change management, and then you start talking to sysadmins and they say, oh, no, we don't use remedy, never heard of remedy, we use Jira, then obviously during these interviews you would make, that would be a finding, that would be a discovery, right? There will be a huge discrepancy. And so testing might be, and I do remember we reviewed this slide and we're doing it second time, because on Friday, one of you asked me about word ethical. You remember? It's okay. We're doing it second time. That's fine. As long as we keep on schedule. So testing might involve scanning, like there are tools that run scans. Some of you know Tenable, for example, or web application testing with Web Inspect, App Scan, or you could run Fortify and you could look at the source code. So there are different types of scans, yeah. Compliance test, substantive test, ethical pen testing.
And what is substantive testing?
Say it again?
What's substantive testing?
I don't know. Let me see. I don't know. Okay. So for the exam purposes, according to ISC Square, tests are generally categorized as compliance tests or substantive tests. Okay. So compliance tests determine whether, in the opinion of the controls assessor, the control exists and is properly operating. For example, a compliance test might compare a sample of the organization's employees entitled to access a system with the named users. So a substantive test, on the other hand, evaluates the proper operation of the process. For example, a tester might perform an onboarding operation to give access to a new user an attempt to use the credentials for an authorized transaction and then offboard that identity. So a tester would then review the logs to ensure the transactions were properly executed and tracked.
And ethical? Is that more like pen test, regular pen test?
Vulnerability. So ethical pen testing here is equated to vulnerability assessment.
Uh-huh.
So,
Okay.
and again, it's a very good question, perfect question, because not only different organizations, this word mean slightly have different meaning, right? But also for different exams, for different certifications, they define sometimes this test a little bit different. So it's a perfect question. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, substantive testing. So in your organizations, you probably have vulnerability testing with Tenable or Qualys or some other, right? That would assess for the currently known vulnerabilities. So they use plugins from the MITRE. You remember that CVE, the cve.mitre.org. Yeah. So security tool companies that create security tools, the scanning, they implement those plugins and they just run those scans against those plugins, right? Now compliance scanning is when you have a benchmark, and it's typically in SCAP format, security SCAP is security content. I should slip off my mind what SCAP is. Yeah, but it's a SCAP. If you go to ncp.list.gov, you will see all the benchmarks in SCAP format. And so typically compliance scans done against those benchmarks, right? And then of course you have application scans, source code scans. Yeah, let's do a couple more slides, and my eyes are so, I need to put drops, teardrops in my eyes. So here's typical ethical penetration testing methodology. So you're chartering. When you create a charter, fulfill engagement, you agree on the terms, how far you should go. And oftentimes clients, they tell you, okay, if you discover something, call us immediately before you move on, right? Before you proceed. Yeah, that's typical. So chartering is the legal part. Discovery is when assets are being discovered. And a lot of time clients want to save money. They tell you, okay, let's keep the discovery part. We would give you the list of assets. Another time, clients may say, yeah, we really want to see how visible we are. Do the discovery phase, right? And you remember those websites, the Gray Hat Warfare, the Showdown. There's a lot. There are a few more that allow you to do the discovery of assets. So discovery scanning. Scanning is smaller in scope. Discovery may involve you go to LinkedIn and you search company and you see their postings of the jobs or the discussions, and you will know what kind of software they use, what kind of systems they use, and so on. I mean, yeah. And then once the scanning is done, you may be able to do exploitation if the assets are vulnerable, obviously, right? And then you do the reporting. And reporting in the federal government, again, it's standard stuff. It's called risk assessment report, penetration assessment report. In private companies, they can call it whatever they want. If you're part of the procurement team and you do the request for proposal, you may say, okay, we want it to be called, I don't know, break-in report. Yeah. hypothetically. So let's do the check your understanding. Unless you have any questions, we can go back. See. Yeah. You know, I'm in Peru right now, and Peru supposedly has some of the best coffee in the world. And I'm drinking instant coffee. It's a shame. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Anyways, what is the primary goal of a red team exercise and penetration test? So, you know, every 5-10 years, they change the terms. Yeah, in the last 10 years, red team became popular term. Before that, we had the vulnerability assessment, we had the self-assessment, we had the pen testing. Yeah, it's so this question is kind of should be easy for you guys. Should be easy, no?
Charlie.
Charlie's excellent choice. Yes, it's correct. Charlie's correct. All right. Mhm. Let me see. So no single standard exists for pen testing, which is kind of true. But then, is there a single standard for anything? I don't think so. So it's all adjustable. It's all improvised, right? So last time we talked about Iowa, 2 guys being arrested. Was it with you guys or was it another group? Sorry, maybe I'm confusing. I think it was with you guys. We discussed it, Iowa, and one of you actually explained what happened, right? Yeah, I remember. I think Alan explained what happened with Iowa guys. It's 2 employees of coal fire being arrested, sheriff stepping in, and then they're like, yeah. Anyways, so continuous. Let me see. So real user monitoring. It's not restricted to software-based systems. They're frequently applied to people-intensive operations, such as call centers, as part of producing information artifacts that can indicate process quality or compliance issues or opportunities for improvement. So, real user monitoring associated with the people-intensive operations, such as call centers, as part of producing information that can indicate process quality, compliance issues, or opportunities for improvement. Okay. So synthetic performance monitoring, sometimes called proactive monitoring, involves having external agents run scripted transactions against a web application. So these scripts are meant to follow the steps of a typical user might follow to search, view product, log in, check out, to access the experience, right? So traditionally, synthetic monitoring has been done with lightweight, low-level agents, imitating web browsers. All right. Move on. All right. Let's. Yeah, we covered that last Friday, I think. I'm pretty sure. So, and we just discussed the synthetic monitoring. Unless you have a specific question about any of these bullet points. All right. So, I don't know how many of you have done any programming or writing code. So if you used Eclipse, for example, or use Visual Studio, in Eclipse, you can click and it will say run. And if you have 45 integrated Olvera code or something else, right? You can click and say scan the code, and it will show you problematic sections of your code. Let's say in Python or Java, whatever you write. Well, Eclipse, I guess. I assume with Eclipse you'll be writing Java, I guess. So it will show you problematic parts of the code. And here are some of the examples of the code, right? So, all right. Any questions? Comments? Any of you are developers of software? Write software? No. All right. So, I mentioned OWASP. I'm pretty sure most of you know what OWASP is. And they used to run conferences in Washington, D.C. every year. OWASP conferences, they're so great. So OWASP stands for Open Web Application Security Project. So they have a publication for web application security, and they actually explain very well this misuse case testing. So imagine your functional requirement says, I should be able to log in into application and to see my profile. Now, misuse case would be you log in and you see somebody else's profile. That would be misuse, right? So, and could be deliberate, malicious, could be accidental. Yeah. Years ago, some of you might remember you log in into banking application and you change there's a URL and you change the account number. Voila, you can see account of other people. That was, I mean, it's not made up, it's real stories. Yeah. Yeah, positive testing determines whether a system works as expected without any errors and fails. And negative testing provides evidence of the application's behavior. Yeah, and we'll see some examples now, like with SQL, for example. Yeah, I think it's next slide, 2 slides down the road. So, yeah. And don't try to remember all of this. This is just a representative abstract list of possible coverage, what could be covered, right? And there's many more, of course. So remember that CWE.MITRE.org, there's like thousands of them, right? So yeah, interface testing is another aspect of testing. And I just gave an example of exactly what it describes the second bullet point. Yeah. All right, let's take 8 minutes break and we'll reconvene at parameters in USA. It's 8:05. Yeah, we'll reconvene at 8:05. Yeah. All right. All right. Let's resume our session. Mm, And given the problems, let me stop sharing, then share again, because I suspect you don't see anything. No. Oh, stop presenting. Present. I expect you looking at the collect security process data, 6.3.
We were, and then it went white.
Oh, it's again white. Oh no, gosh.
Oh,
All right, let me share it again. I know, it's the platform. You should use a different platform next time. So let me go back just for a second. It's not an important slide, but you know, sometimes it's important in the sense that it gives you the context. Right? So if you see the context, then it's easier for you to understand the subsequent slides. So the context here is collecting security process data, right? And so here we're talking about identity management, right? And it's again, it's just abstract slide. It's not exact implementation of how this can be done. A lot of you probably using tools like CAPAM or CyberArk, right? Nowadays, or similar. Psychotic is not a popular one. Yeah. So I don't know. Do we really need to go over this slide like in detail, or we can just move on? Because this is abstract representation, so that's why it says review. It's not like a exact implementation. So this one actually is important in the sense that try to stick it in your memory. So management review and approval is important. And this is a recurring theme, right? You will hear it not only if you take other courses, if you take other exams, like ISAC and stuff, it's always the emphasis that management support, management review, management approval is important. Without management review, support, approval, nothing will move on, right? So, and yeah, I mean, if you have been working in cybersecurity, I'm pretty sure you've been to those countless meetings with dashboards, right? Management review. What it is usually, yeah, it's a lot of dashboards, charts, numbers, metrics, yeah. All right. So key performance and risk indicators. So as I mentioned, on monthly or weekly or quarterly meetings, yeah, there will be dashboards. Metrics would be defined carefully, tailored, obviously, for the environment. Metrics need to be what we call SMART, right? Specific, measurable, actionable, so on, right? So, yeah, and the management reviews would include, of course, review of the key performance and risk indicators, which are metrics, yeah. Yeah, the next couple slides will be about backup. That's the context. And nowadays, of course, backups are so easy with the cloud stuff, but do not. Yeah, we need to keep in mind that a lot of organizations, manufacturing, industrial companies, SCADA, they still very much rely on those backup tapes, libraries. They still use them, and they still need them. And so Iron Mountain, if you know the company, they're still in business. So the context for this slide is also backup, preservation of data. And again, if you're dealing with manufacturing companies, you're probably dealing with physical tapes, and you probably still have a contract with Iron Mountain or something like that. Now, if you're in the cloud native, of course, that's much easier. You just click, and you're done. You just choose what the price. If you want to be cheap, you go with Glacier and AWS or similar. Yeah. All right. Any questions? Don't be shy. So let's do another. How many slides we've done? Let's do another maybe 10 slides, and then if you want, we can do the review questions. Or we can do slides, we can finish the domain, whatever you prefer. We do need to finish the domain 6 eventually, right? So the context here, you remember, is the security assessment, collection of data. So in every module, in every domain, there is education, training, and awareness, but it's always domain specific, right? So you do need to prepare your people for security assessments. You do need to prepare people for doing risk management. You do need to prepare them, educate for all other activities. So here awareness focuses attention on security issues, more general in nature, right? Mm-hmm. So disaster recovery, business continuity. We did discuss it already. We kind of covered that. There are compliance requirements. Obviously, for the federal government, it's mandatory, the 800-34. Now, ISO, typically, it's self-imposed requirement. Companies choose to do it because they want to, typically, they want to be able to bid for certain contracts. That's the requirement, usually because of the contractual obligations. All right. Okay, check your understanding. And don't be shy. If you need to go back, tell me. You can go back a couple of slides. And so I know the long descriptions. I hate those. Oh my gosh. You remember I told you this is an important slide about management reviews, management sponsorship, approval, support, right? You remember? So I specifically pointed that out because I knew there will be this question.
Charlie.
Charlie is the perfect answer, yes. Excellent. Thank you. So I did share a link with you in chat box window because I don't like this slide, because this slide is missing the point, kind of. But yeah, Harold T. Martin was one of those, and it's a big story. There's nothing to discuss. If you're interested, read the article. If you're not interested, that's fine. We'll just move on because there's nothing to discuss really. Well, unless you want to discuss, I don't know. I'll give you 20 seconds to decide. So analyze test output and generate report. Right. So for the exam purposes, remember the test output will depend on what? On the type of the test, right? And the type of the test will depend on the type of the control being tested, right? So administrative procedural controls will be tested by interviews, reviews. You remember those slides? Remember, there are reviews, interviews, and technical tests will be, of course, tested by technical means. So I have known, I don't know anything about Six Sigma. I know it's very popular. I worked with some black people. They claim, oh, I have a black belt in Six Sigma. So let me read for you what it says here, and then we'll just move on. So Six Sigma approach has come into widespread use. This applies a similar model in 5 steps. Okay, step 1, define the problem in meaningful terms to the customer's requirements. Measure the current process and collect performance data. Analyze the data to determine relationships, causality, and root cause. Improve the current process using the data and pilot the improved new process. Control the future state process to eliminate any deviations before they result in defects. Implement control systems that continuously monitor the process. So I have PMP. I'm a project management professional, certified, and it sounds to me like straight from the PIN book. But and then again, Six Sigma would claim otherwise. But anyways, yeah, kind of common sense, right? Anyways, let's move to the next slide. Just Six Sigma, 5 steps. Define the problem, figure out what the deltas are, figure out, navigate the improvement, the desired state, the future state, and then figure out how to move there. You know, if it shows up on the exam, I don't think there'll be more than one question on this subject. So, and here it's slide 48. Exception handling. So the change management practices will be covered in domain 7. So the handling of exceptional circumstances will also be covered more in domain 7. And here's kind of a in the context of security testing and so on. How do we handle exceptions? How do we identify them, and what's the process? And in the perfect world, of course, there should be SOP, standard operating procedure, a standard operating procedure for each exception, for each circumstance. But of course, that's why they are, well, they often called accidents, because you don't anticipate them, you don't know they're gonna happen. But so that's all I have on this slide for me. So just, I think we covered it in domain 2 a lot. So you recognize the risk, identify it, and then you either accept it, or transfer it, or mitigate it. And all exceptions must be documented, authorized, and reviewed. So in the federal government, they call it waiver. There's a form called waiver. You actually complete it, well, digital form or paper form, whatever form. And waiver usually signed off by senior management, and they authorize the exception. It's being documented through waiver, and then it being monitored, reviewed like monthly or quarterly, and there should be action plan to fix it. And some of you know what POEMs, it's a plan of action and mitigation, or a plan of action milestones, milestones to fix things. Now, obviously, what I'm saying now, it's very U.S. centric. It's very much for the United States government. In other countries, the processes might be different. Even though I know that, for example, United Emirates, they adopted FISMA. They adopted almost completely, like 100% copycat. And I know Saudi Arabia does too. So there's a lot of places that actually adopted. They probably are thinking like, why do we need to reinvent the wheel, right? We just So here the context is a discovery of vulnerabilities. So when security researchers, they do pen testing, and I made a mistake, actually, I must admit. I was actually reprimanded for that. I did a security assessment for federal government agency in New Orleans, in Louisiana, and I discovered zero-day vulnerability, and I published it, and I was like, oh my god, I'm like, that's stupid. And that was not a proper way to do disclosure, obviously. The proper way to do the disclosure, obviously, so the bottom bullet points is responsible. When you notify the vendor, you give them the time to fix it, and then you disclose it. And we're going to cover it next slide. So Project Zero is exactly what it does. So it's a Google sponsored that project, and they have a bunch of people working on the project. And once they identify a problem, they give a vendor 90 days before they disclose it. Vulnerabilities equities process is internal federal government, and they don't like to disclose things. No, they're almost never. So. But for the exam purposes, remember, Project Zero, it's a valid term. It does exist, and gives 90 days companies to produce a patch or fix the problem. So web does exist, web with P, vulnerability equities process, but it is internal for the federal government, and so they don't like to disclose it much. So for the exam purposes, that's what you need to remember. So, any questions on this stuff? No? So good? All right. So, the Whistleblower Protection Act was enacted to protect people from retribution of any kind of communications they make to their congressional representatives. So it covers communication with congressional representatives. Oh gosh. Let's see. Why is it critical to understand legal and ethical requirements for disclosure? Well, I don't know. I mean, in most cases, there's no legal repercussions for those people who disclose vulnerabilities. Yeah. But a lot of times, the contractual nowadays, now when I did pen testing work, there typically was no requirements, contractual requirements like limitations, like, oh yeah, you can go talk to anybody about what you've seen. Nowadays, there's a lot of obligations, like you cannot say it to anybody, you cannot disclose it, and so on. So yeah, there's I guess I could say legal maturity, maybe. Yeah. Anyways. All right, here we go. We have this guy again, Prakash. So we doing it the American way, right? We say it, then we repeat it, then we repeat it again. So we did discuss it already, actually today. So the audit and assessment, right? So determine whether security controls meet the organization's risk expectations. That's an important point because sometimes people say, "Oh, no, we should implement like 100% total security," and 100% total security not oftentimes not necessary. It's like imagine a public bathroom in a national park. To implement total security, you would have to post like a battalion of military person, right, to protect, and then verify the ID of each person entering and leaving the bathroom. That's perfect security, right? And then maybe some helicopters hovering over the bathroom, like protecting it from what if Chinese send a missile there? That's perfect security. But the practical security is, yeah, you have the rangers in the park. That's enough usually. So, anyways, and we discussed that. So keep in mind that risk appetite means the organization's risk expectations, right? And whatever the management, the senior management, the leadership, they communicate, that's the baseline against which the control should be tested. Oh my God, my eyes are like, I have so much allergy today. So let's shall we continue with the slides, or should we switch to the questions? All right.
B.
B. Okay. What is the potential drawback of internal audits. I don't like how they phrase it. Instead of drawback, they should say, what is the potential weakness? What potential deficiency of internal audit? I think that's how they should phrase it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so the correct answer is delta. Internal auditors, due to their familiarity with the organization, may lack independence, which could create an incentive to downplay major issues to avoid negative impacts on financial performance or relationships with team members. Makes perfect sense, right?
Does it D or B?
Not D, delta.
Delta. Okay.
Yeah. So if you look about beta bravo, independence, it sounds like a positive sense, no? Conveys the positive sense. Like independent. Well, at least that's how they think. So independence is a challenge associated with internal audits, highlighting the importance of addressing independence concerns to ensure a more objective assessment. Yeah. Anyways, the way I look, independence is a positive word. It's good. It's good. It's not a drawback. So that's why I wouldn't choose independence, because it's not a drawback. It's positive thing. Yeah, but anyways. Somebody wants to say something? So now is good time to choose either we do the review questions or we continue with the slides.
If we do the review questions, can we pick up on these slides tomorrow, or we just jump into the next domain tomorrow?
We have 25 slides more in this domain.
Okay, so we're gonna pick up where we left off, right?
Right, and you remember each domain slides has the domain quiz at the end. So out of 25 slides, there's probably 5 or 6 slides that will be quiz question, right? So, but yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's okay. We can pick up tomorrow because we still have 4 sessions to go. So it's plenty of time. So let me stop sharing for a moment, and I will probably open the questions. So these supposed to be at question 120. Yeah, 120. That's what my notes say. 120. Yeah. All right. Let me share with you again. And hopefully not blank screen, but if it is blank screen, let me know. Just questions, yeah. I assume you can see it. You're supposed to be looking at question 120. At least that's what my notes say. If you believe you should be on other question, let me know. All right. Or maybe not. Yeah. Well, you let me know. According to my notes, we're in the question 120, but maybe I can update the notes. Anyways, question 120. So the question is about threats to site security, and that's domain 3, the context, right?
Bravo.
Bravo is a good choice. Yes, it is correct answer. So all controls in this response are preventative in nature. That's the feedback I have. So we're on question 121, domain 4. My gosh. I hate questions about networking. I'm not good with networks. The carrier or signal indicates activity on a network cable. Carrier sense, CS, is looking for the presence of a signal or nodes. All nodes will not transmit until the signal is gone. So carrier sense is looking for the presence of a signal, or nodes will not transmit until the signal is gone, denoting that a transmission has been completed.
See, number 22.
B is correct answer. Yes, bravo. Yes. And to be honest, networking questions are the most difficult for me. Let me just a second. I'll just turn it off so it's my network is. Yeah. All right. So we're in question 122. So yeah, the checks whether there's a carrier present. Actually, Charlie sounds better now, but the correct answer is B. Bravo.
Wait, why is it B? Because I thought it was C. It's transport. Okay, so it is, well, it's not network and it's not data. So I was going from the bottom up.
I'll be honest with you. Networking never has been my forte. I don't know. So I'm always confused about those networking questions, to be honest. Anything else, ask me. I will tell you. Networking, it's, oh my gosh. I'm like,
Let's see.
yeah. So the 121, just to make sure everybody's on the same page. 121, correct answer is Bravo.
122B.
122 is not B. No, it's not.
A.
You remember? It's A, yes. You remember we looked at that diagram like a three different blocks together, talking about divergence. Yeah,
And
that's where
switches are on second layer. Hub switches and then routers on the network.
Yeah. Well, and again, those are very abstract models. Most of us will never deal with those models, unless you develop in software and stuff. Yeah, then it might be useful. Yeah. But then again, like if I write a code in Python, I open Visual Studio, and I include the libraries. It will give me all the options. I don't need to even think about those. I mean, it's yeah, it's. Or you can go to Gemini or any other artificial platform, artificial intelligence, and you tell the, oh, give me a code that implements TCP IP socket, or I need an interface for web application. It will actually generate it for you. Yeah, you need to adjust it, you need to fix it a little bit, but nowadays. Anyways, sorry, I don't want to distract you from question 123. And Visual Studio, even the community edition, it comes with Copilot nowadays. And Copilot, it just, yeah, it shows all the code you need to write and everything. Mm. So this one is a tricky question. You remember it's a hybrid protocol, you remember? While officially there is not a layer 2.5, there's no officially layer 2.5, MPLS is often referred to as a layer 2.5 protocol. Why? Because it operates across both layers 2 and 3. And so the correct answer is delta, in case you're wondering. But yeah, there was a slide on this subject. We had a slide specifically about MPLS. Mhm.
Are we on 124?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I remember that one. It's alpha.
yeah, it is alpha. It is correct answer, yeah. See. And if you go to IANA, you remember I shared with you link, IANA, it's the Internet Authority for the numbering, numbers. So it's there. Do I need to type it for you in the chat window? It's IANA, IANA.org. Yeah. Mhm.
I'm gonna say beta, beta for 125.
So 125, it is Bravo. And in case you're wondering why, so it says include all, but one of the following, right? And I'm getting feeling we did review these questions on Friday, but I guess we're refreshing, right? Actually, I do remember. No, but it's okay because we have the time, and why not? Why not check your knowledge again? So, but yeah, remember it says include all but one of the following. Yeah, that's why RDN is not correct. Yeah, I mean it's the it's the correct answer. The yeah. So brow is the correct answer in 125. And we are on 126, in case you're wondering. Or maybe you fell asleep.
Charlie.
Mm. Yeah, Charlie is very good choice. Charlie is the correct answer. And we did, now I remember clearly, we did cover these questions on Friday. So it's a good refresher. It's a good refresher. Why not? Because we have 100 questions more, actually a little less, maybe 80. So, and in 4 days, if you do 20 questions per day, then that should cover it perfectly well. Yeah. So Vincent was supposed to ask if Saturday is good time for everybody to do the makeup session. So I assume it is. I don't know.
He took a poll, and most people said yes, we're interested in a Saturday one, and then hasn't manifested into anything.
Okay, yeah. No, because unfortunately yesterday, as I mentioned, as I explained earlier, the whole local network, not only fiber optic, but mobile network was down. And I was not even able to reach out and advise Vincent and tell him, look, I have problems now. So, and for that reason, yeah, we all need to have a makeup session. And I told him we can either do 3 hours instead of 2 hours, like some days, or we can do Saturday, whatever people prefer. I mean, I'm fine with both. But I assume you need to work probably after 9. So but actually this week mornings I am available. So if you guys prefer, we do some days like from 7 to 10. I'm open to that. Keep that in mind. Anyways, question 127. Um, so the last sentence of the question says, the complaints are not universal, with many users experiencing no issues at all, right? So incorrect or outdated LDAP client configurations on the devices of certain users explains why only some users are experiencing intermittent access issues. So the correct answer is Delta. Let's move on. Let's cover more questions today because So question 128. Misconfigured routing protocols can lead to inefficient routing paths, causing packets to take longer routes or even loop indefinitely. This inefficiency can result in network congestion and packet loss, make it a plausible cause at layer 3. So it's Charlie, 128 Charlie.
This one was A.
Okay, question 129. The feedback is
B.
using distance vector routing information protocol calculates the route between 2 points by using hop counts. A hop is the number of routers that the traffic passes through, right? So the correct answer is alpha.
Yeah, I remember we did go over these questions on Friday.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, but I mean, do you want guys to skip them or move to like 7 minutes? If you want, I'll skip to like whatever number you give me. But for some reason, my notes say 120. Yeah. So, Alan, was it Alan? If you remember, what's the correct answer?
It's C, IGMP.
Yeah, that's correct answer is C, IGMP. Internet Group Management Protocol creates and manages multicast groups. So,
Charlie.
Yeah, excellent. And the explanation says there is no reply, but rather request. So the client sends out a broadcast with DHCP discover packet. The server responds with DHCP offer, giving the client an available address to use. Yeah.
This one is D151.
Yeah, it is. Delta is the correct answer. Yeah. A good refresher, though. Yeah, we did cover it on Friday, but I mean, it's a good refresher. And we only have like, what, 80 questions more to cover. So roughly 80 questions. I don't remember the exact number, to be honest. I think it's like 220 something there. All right. Question 133. And it's not mayonnaise, but it does sound like mayonnaise, right?
Diffie Hellman's.
Yeah, Diffie Hellman, yeah. You know this mayonnaise in Latin America? They sell it like triple the price. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. So yeah, if any of you, well, probably most of you have used VPN client on your laptop, right? When you connect to your either government or private company network, and then you can use the applications. And even though applications may not support may not have encryption implemented, because it's a site-to-site VPN, it will be encrypted, right? Because it's site-to-site tunnel.
Charlie.
No, it's Delta. Delta, yeah. It's not the presentation layer, no. In the network layer, yeah. Yeah, IPsec. I would say you definitely should expect at least 2 questions related to IPsec on the exam. Maybe 3. Yeah. So question 135. Mm,
I don't know. It uses the MAC address.
excellent. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It should be easy because this kind of easy one. Yeah. And MAC address is not reliable, right? Because you can easily spoof MAC address. You can assign different MAC address to your network interface, but it is widely used. Some of you probably have seen Forescout, right? Forescout in action. That's one of the tools that has been mandated across federal government environments. Well, they used Forescout, then they moved to Ibany. I think they now, I don't know what they use now. It's like, yeah, different agency, they procure different tool. But yeah, Forescout was very popular. I think now it's not. It's, you know.
I would say D for this one.
So question 136. The correct answer is Charlie.
Charlie.
Yes.
Transport. Hmm.
All right, guys, and it's time to close our session. So, and I'll make sure I'll write down now exactly what slides we left on and questions. I apologize for the Friday. Yeah, I didn't write it down. So, okay, have a great day. Thank you for being with me. And yeah, we still have 4 more sessions.
And the Saturday one.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, including no, yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. That's what I'm saying. 4 more, 4 more. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You just gotta talk to Vince about it.
Yeah, you guys, I will let him do the logistics
Mhm.
because for me it's either Saturday or we can do Sunday or we can do other days. Like instead of 2 hours, we can do 3 hour sessions if it works. But I'm just thinking maybe some of you working and maybe
Yes.
maybe you cannot take time from work, right? So I
Nope.
mean, exactly. And so it's that's one of the advantages doing this class in the morning, right? So we'll probably do it on
Yeah,
Saturday, most
yeah,
likely.
but definitely can't do. I mean, I'm already waking up at 3:30 in the morning. I can't wake up at 2:30 for for this. So if we did do a Saturday class, I would like it if it was a little bit later.
I'm fine because Saturday I'm flexible. We can do 11 Eastern time, or we can do 2 o'clock, 2 p.m. I don't mind 2 p.m. if it works for you. Yeah. Are you in Pacific
No, I mean
time?
morning. Yeah, I'm on Pacific time. I mean,
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
it
yeah.
doing it early morning is not a problem. I mean, I prefer it that way, so that way I'm not taking time from my family and stuff like that on the weekend. But um, you know, usually it starts at 4 a.m. If
I
it
pro-
started at
I I
5 or
proposed
6 a.m., that'd be great.
I proposed him 10 a.m. Eastern time, but I am flexible. If do you prefer 10 a.m. is good, or is it you want earlier or later?
I like 10
Uh,
a.m. is good for me. 11 a.m. is good. I mean, like it's just in the morning, like what was saying was is great because because the other times, I mean, the rest of the time spend time with the family, right?
Yeah, of course. And you have your
Plus, I have a 2-year-old who probably won't let me get
Oh,
through anything at 10 a.m. Um,
oh yeah, yeah.
okay.
so if you're asking me, I mean, I would say if we start at 6 a.m., that'd be better because then we're done by 8 or 8:30, depending on how long the session goes. And
I guess he'll have to take a poll, right? Like if everybody, I mean, whatever good time
mhm,
everybody, can meet in the middle, whatever.
mhm.
Yeah.
I'm totally flexible. I'm totally open because I mean, even though for me 6 a.m. Eastern time would be for me 5 a.m. Lima time. I'm in Peru right now, in Lima. So
Mm.
I prefer 7 is good, but
Yeah. Yeah. Because some people only get to sleep during the weekend. So
exactly,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Exactly.
one of those people. Like,
Yeah. But I'm not asking you, I'm not proposing because I don't want to deal with logistics. I prefer that Vincent does the logistics and I do the delivery because that will be too much headache for me to deal with logistics.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's too much. That's what I'm saying. Doing a poll and then whatever is decided, then everybody's good with it, right? So
I will accept whatever
exactly.
whatever the consensus is. But yeah, we need at least majority to agree on the time.
Yep. Thank
There's
you.
not a lot of time to do it though. It's like it's already Tuesday, so and he's probably gonna need like 24 hours to put up a poll and let people answer it, and then actually do the logistics.
Unless we vote in class, unless we vote tomorrow, and then everybody decides, you know, when the
We, we,
majority. Yeah.
we could do that. We could do a poll. We
Because
could do a poll.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But like
Yeah.
most, by the time,
But uh,
so
but
that's
guys, I don't want to force any decisions on anybody. So I mean,
exactly.
you I prefer you do first round, you discuss it yourself. And then second round, we can do the poll once you come up with 2 options or one option or is there
Yeah.
consensus? Because um But yeah, I'm open totally. I think Saturday, if we can do Saturday, maybe 9 or 10 a.m. That should be okay. That would be perfect for me.
Yeah, that'll be good for me too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Eastern time. Yeah.
It just depends on what everybody says else, because we're not the only ones in class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But honestly, I prefer not to get up too early because it just, my gosh, and my health wasn't good, to be honest. Because of the climate here, I have so much allergies, and it's like, yeah. So, but anyways, so let's, if you guys talk in your group, but tomorrow I'll do the poll and I'll propose 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. on Saturday, and then
Is that
we'll do
Lima time?
it again.
At those times that you propose, is that Lima time?
No, the Eastern time. Eastern time.
Eastern time. Okay.
I mean, we can do 8. I get a feeling that you prefer earlier, but 8 is probably the earliest I want to do it, because for me it will be 7.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I'm to be honest, I'm not. Yeah, yeah. Anyways, let's talk tomorrow. We still
Yeah.
have a
Better.
couple of days to decide. It will be fine. Yeah. All right, guys.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Good morning.
you. All right. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye-bye.